So you're a big boy. Were you breastfed?
Well, I was working in Brussels for a human rights charity, and I could see that Brexit was going off the rails, and so I figured, all right, I've studied EU law, I should probably try and put something out there. So in 2016, I started making videos.
Why do you think people voted leave?
People were desperate for change. People could see that the system wasn't working for them. And the people telling them to vote for things to stay the same were the same people who had inflicted austerity on them, i.e. David Cameron.
I think there's this blind spot in the Remain side about the kind of emotional arguments, you know. Most people don't sort of think about trade numbers and export deals. They just sort of look at Belgium and think, well, what the fuck even is that? Tintin? Poirots? Fucking paedophiles? No, thank you. You know, everyone's talking about these deep cultural ties we have with the French. What the fuck are you talking about? National sports sucking each other off. You know, we work for a living here. In France, they get up at midday, they spend 4 hours just brushing pastry flakes off them, then they go and suck off their uncle. Oncle, more like oncle. You know, Sweden, no thanks. Everyone's going on about, oh, it would be more like Sweden. Absolutely not. They legalise anything over there. It starts with paid paternity leave, but where does it end? Fucking legal paedophilia, state-sponsored. Paid paternity leave, more like. Fucking paid paternity leave. Any man who wants to spend that much time with his kids is a fucking bacon bonce. You hear me? It's not about the facts, it's about what those people make you feel.
The facts do impact on people's feelings. People will feel bad if they can't afford food. People will feel bad if they can't afford health.
They board a flight to France, you get out, you walk down the stairs, you get to the... Oh, for fuck, they're all sucking each other off. Customs, baggage handlers. the little fellas with a it's guiding dicks into their mouth, like, ah. Why do you think they make bread look like that?
People care about whether or not they can afford food, not the shape of it.
I care about sharing a flag with a continent full of paedophiles. Star for every nonce. Also, I like my bananas bent. Makes it easier. Don't need a glory hole when you can do it around a street corner. Well, David Beckham against Greece.
Beckham could raise the roof here with a goal. I don't believe it!
Brexit is always going to be one of the factors making pretty much every area of UK life worse. It won't be the only factor, but it's definitely a contributing one.
I mean, some of the state of hospitals at the moment. I took my wife in to A&E. I mean, we basically just could not get seen. It was fine in the end. I put like a fur coat on her and just tricked the vets into worming it for me. She was registered there already, actually. They got those big X-ray machines. Do you support the strikes?
I definitely support the strikes.
It's getting a bit ridiculous, though, wouldn't you say? Everyone's striking. Driving instructors, they're on strike.
We're in a cost of living crisis. People do need to be paid fairly.
I failed my test because of some random person was taking it. He said I failed it because I fucked 8 minors and a major. But you see a high-ranking officer in the street, you've got to fucking get in there. That's how you take his rank. Wasn't quite on his Western Front. I fucked him in the butt. If you know what I mean. Once again, we are sponsored by the good people at Heroes and Heretics. I remember when I met these people, I thought, wow, what a bunch of beautiful boys. They're just a bunch of beautiful boys with a dream. The dream that whiskey could be for everyone. This is whiskey. It's for any British person. You know, if you're French, then you fucking drink brandy. If you're Spanish, you drink sherry. And if you're Italian, well, you don't need a drink because there's no age of consent in Italy. Heroesandheretics.com is the place to go if you're new to whiskey and you want to start a journey. If you use the offer code FinTaylor15 at checkout, you'll get 15% off. I can't recommend it highly enough. Heroesandheretics.com. So what would you describe your politics as then?
Generally progressive, pro-human rights, pro-equality.
Mm-hmm. Have you heard this thing about how different personality traits bleed into different political opinions? So, for example, people who are conservative are sort of typically loyal, hard-working, have very set ideas about right and wrong, whereas left-wing people are sort of whiny, depressed, fat, vindictive, chubby, you know, fascinated by keys. Like if you ever get in an argument with a left-wing person, you just, you know, and they're like, ha 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 ha, you know, because they'll never own property.
Our country is being crippled by the failure of parties to the left of the Conservatives to actually work together because we are the majority.
Because I understand what you're saying, because I'm politically homeless, which in many ways is sort of worse than being actually homeless. No one gives you money outside Brixton Tube. No one buys you a Coke in exchange for a tug. Are you wook?
My woke. This stuff affects people's lives. People get stopped by police a lot more if you're black. You have to send more applications when you're applying for a job if you're black. 80% more, in fact, according to Oxford research.
Is that just because there are more spam emails that come from black people?
Well, the government says that it's because the employers assume that if you've got a black-sounding name, you're more likely to be lower class, which is classism as well as racism.
What's the politically correct term for working class? Is it financially challenged? People of scum? What's the...
I think it's working class.
Right. You really think animals shouldn't pay tax? We'll title that saying, Wook Man Destroyed. You know, your accent's quite hard to place.
My accent is basically a mix of everything plus American because I grew up on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and Keenan and Kel.
Right. And that's who you were speaking to mainly, was the television.
I'm into sci-fi, so Marvel, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, a bit of DC.
Because this is another part of your identity, isn't it? On the one hand, you're a person of colour, but you're also a huge virgin. Or is it blurgin?
Actually, the nickname the sixth formers gave me was Femidom, but I didn't realise.
Oh, that's crass.
I didn't realise what it meant until it was too late and sort of stuck.
Well, they do stick if you don't take it out quick enough. Also, they don't go in the arse. My arse, I mean. I got very confused. I know you're really into all of them, but who's your least favourite? Who's your least favourite member state? Off the record, we'll fucking cut the cameras. Who are you fucking bidding off? Come on. Oh, fucking shoot the shit. Who are you fucking... There'll be a country in your head. What is it?
It's mainly a fight
Albanian,
against
isn't it? Albanians. Got the same brow. Frowning all the time, the Albanians.
It's more a metaphor for the
Happiest
patriarchy.
Albanian you ever seen? You want to see an impression? Happiest Albanian. You just won £1 billion and a lifetime of free blowjobs. It's great coming to work and you don't know how you're going to be racist that day.